Okay, so welcome, and today we're going to, this is going to be the welcome video for the class, and the class that we are um, looking at is college algebra. And so this is going to be a welcome video that's going to go over the syllabus. I'm going to have to do another video for Moodle because I don't have access to Moodle right now, or I do, so I'm still trying to set that up. But once I get that set up, then I'll do a video going over Moodle and a lot of the stuff that I have up there. But in the meantime, I'm going to go through the syllabus and show you what's in the syllabus, what's important, and I'm going to go through the things that I think are important. Um, but I'm also expecting that you're going to uh, read the whole thing. Okay, but I'm going to spend time going through this. And the first thing I want to start with is letting you know that this syllabus that you're looking at right now may be different than the syllabus that's on Moodle. Okay, meaning that the dates may be different, the times may be different, the details, like the class assignments, due dates, and things, may be different. The semester, the year may be different, but realize that I keep my syllabi pretty much the same as for the most part. If I'm teaching a class and I know I'm going to be teaching the class with the same textbook, pretty much it's going to be the same as far as class management and things like that. The only thing I'm going to change are due dates, exam dates. Um, Obviously, the classroom may change. The semester is going to change. Things like that. Okay, so you're still going to need to print off the syllabus and read it yourself to make sure that you understand when things are due, where are we meeting, so on and so forth. Okay, so but the meat and potatoes of the syllabus are all going to be pretty much the same. Okay, so I'm going to go through what I think is important. Okay, and uh, and then the rest of it, I'm assuming you're going to read. Okay, so make sure you print off the syllabus and read it yourself. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is obviously over here we have, let me see if I can change this. Uh, no, I can't. Okay, I thought there was a way. Never mind. Anyway, I thought there was a way to change my cursor. I believe there is, but I can't. I can't find that. Let me see here. No, no. Okay, never mind. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through. So here's where my information is. So here's my name, my office hours. Okay. Now again, you're going to have to email me. I don't have an office per se, so you're going to have to email me. We'll just figure out where to meet, or I'll probably have a place that I'll be at. And so anyway, I'll let you know that when the time comes. Here's my email address. This is obviously the web page is going to be on Moodle. Here's our meeting, classroom, times, days of the week, and then of course the number of credit hours for this class. Here's the textbook information, calculator. You do not need a graphing calculator, but you will need a calculator to use for exams and quizzes and such. Okay, but not a graphing calculator. A scientific calculator would be fine. If you want a basic calculator, just make sure it has square roots and powers and things, but a scientific calculator should be sufficient. But you don't need a graphing calculator. If you already have one and you want to use it, that's fine. Um, but we're not going to be graphing things. We're going to be doing a lot of our graphing on paper. So now, here's the course description. So this is a course in Algebra Fundamentals, and it's for all majors. Course outcomes, let you read that yourself. Course objectives, so these are all the things that you should be able to do at the end of this course. Here's the Aurora University mission statement. Your is an inclusive community dedicated to the transitive power of learning. Okay, so here's the learning outcomes. Here are the general education outcomes at Aurora University. And here is the grading policy. So here I'm going to stop for a second. So this is the grading scale. Okay, so this is a weighted average. So your grade is based on these different points here. Where these points come from? Well, they come from exams, They come from attendance and participation, quizzes, and final exam. Now, all of the exams, the hour exams, the classroom exams, each one of those exams accounts for over 50% of your grade. And if you include the final exam, then you're up to over 80% of your grade. So your 80%, over 80% of your grade is going to be based on how well you do on the exams and the final exam. Okay, so please make sure you study for those exams. Okay, and again, because of the flipped classroom, that I'm gonna help you with, and the quizzes are gonna help you. Okay, there's gonna be, oh well, I'll get to that part. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay, so now lecture videos. So because this is a flipped classroom, you're going to have lecture videos to watch. So here, let me talk about the flipped classroom. So here's where I want to just basically explain to you in a little bit of detail, and I'm going to talk about more about this in class, but I want you to pay attention. There's also going to be a video on Moodle that I want you to watch. It's only about a 5-6 minute video, but I'm going to let you know that this is a new, innovative way of doing of learning, especially in a classroom setting. And so I'm going to start by explaining that the expectation in any classroom is that in a lecture classroom, okay, you go to class, and so for every hour that you spend in class, you should be spending a minimum of 2 hours outside of class studying, doing homework, practicing. That's all part of what you should be doing outside of class. Okay, getting help, whether you go to the tutoring center, that's all as far as what your outside activities are going to be. Okay, so now if you have, for example, this is a 4 credit hour class. So that means that you're going to spend a total of about 4 hours in class each week. So that means you should be spending at least 8 hours outside of class studying, doing homework, practicing, making sure you understand the material. Okay? And that also includes reading the textbook. Okay? Which is always an expectation, because the expectation is that you have the chapter material or the reading material read before you come to class. So if you're supposed to have section 1 read based on the calendar, then the expectation is that that section is read before you get to class that day. Okay. So what am I doing in a flipped classroom? Well, it's very simple. Instead of you coming to class and sitting through an hour and 45 minutes of lecture and taking notes and and keeping up with everything, asking questions, which very few students do, and then after you leave class, you go home, you do the homework. What happens if you get stuck? You try to get help. You go to the tutoring center. But what if you don't have time to go to the tutoring center? What if you have a job? That sort of thing. But that's the traditional method. You go to lecture, and then outside of class, you're expected to practice, do the homework, ask questions, and so on, right? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to flip the way it's done. So right now, instead of doing 1 hour, so you got 1 hour in class lecture, 2 hours outside of class, homework, studying, practicing, right? Reading, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to flip that around and say, okay, we're going to take the hour that you used to be sitting in class with a lecture, we're going to flip that with one of the hours that you're supposed to be outside of class, studying, reading, doing homework, practicing, asking questions, that sort of thing. Okay. Now you should be asking questions in class regardless, but we're taking the lecture part, and you're going to be doing the lecture part outside of class. So you're going to be watching the videos outside of class, right? You should still be reading the textbook, but you're going to be watching the videos for lecture outside of class. And then what happens? Well, when you come to class, what are we going to work on? We're going to work on practicing, asking questions, doing homework, suggested homework. So that way, when you're in the classroom, that's where you're going to ask questions. And so instead of waiting to get to class or getting frustrated at the homework and getting stuck and trying to figure it out on your own, well, if you get stuck in the classroom, you're going to be working in groups. So you can ask your classmates. Or you can ask me, the professional educator. So I'll be there to help you. And so this is going to provide a more individualized, student-focused learning experience that you can ask questions immediately. You can get feedback on your understanding immediately. Okay? Instead of sitting in lecture, hoping that you understand it, asking questions if you feel comfortable asking questions, right? So that's the idea behind the flipped classroom. And that's what we're going to do. So I need you to buy into it. Okay? I need you to suspend your preconceived ideas about learning and buy into this, because I guarantee this is going to help you. And remember, it's not more work. You're not going to be doing more work. It's the same amount of work. We're just doing it differently. Okay? And this has been shown to be more effective in helping students learn. Otherwise, why would I do it? Why would I do it? I wouldn't. So again, the lecture videos are going to be on Moodle. So make sure you watch the lecture videos before we cover the material in class. Okay? So you're going to download the video first. Always download the video first before you watch it. The reason why is because if you watch it from Moodle, I don't know, I haven't experienced this, but I know on Blackboard and other learning management systems, there's been an issue for students where it'll start to pause, it'll stop, it'll start over, it'll stop and start over. So my workaround that I've been able to find is just to download it to your computer and watch it from your computer. Other than that, I have not figured out a fix. And I've not found a fix from anyone else yet. Okay, but we'll see. We'll see. Try to watch it from Moodle and see if you have a problem or not. Okay, if you do have a problem, download it to your computer, watch it from your computer, and if you're not going to watch it again, or if you don't want to keep it for review later on, you can delete it. Or if you want to keep them on your computer, as long as you have enough memory, then you can keep them all and then delete them at the end of the semester. That's up to you. Okay, so now exams. Okay, so there are 4 exams, like I said. Now there may be 3, I don't know. I'm still tweaking this, but right now I have 4 exams scheduled for the semester. Okay, typically 1 exam for each chapter, and there's going to be 4 chapters that we're studying. If that changes, I will email you. Okay, so please make sure you always check your email. I'm going to go over that a little bit later too. So now, each exam, you're going to have the entire class period for the exam. The exam is going to contain free response questions. So you're going to have to calculate, answer, show your work. And I expect and I want you to show your work, but you also need to show your work, write neatly. Okay, if I ask you to sketch a graph, sketch it neatly. Okay, so that I can read it and make sure it's accurate. Okay, and also box your answers. Okay, and what I mean by neatly also is make sure it's systematic. Make sure that I can follow your work from the beginning to the end. Students who jump around and just start writing it anywhere on the paper, it's very hard for me to grade. And if I can't grade it, or it's very hard for me to follow, I just basically take points off and go on. Okay, and usually I take off a lot of points, especially if I cannot follow your work. Okay, so it's a lot better that you be neat and orderly with your work. Okay, and that's just something you should do in anything you do in life. Okay, if you're at a job, anything else, you should just be neat and orderly so that somebody could follow your work. Okay, whether it's a presentation you're giving, goes without saying. Okay, so now there are no makeup exams. The only exception is a medical reason, and it has to be a valid medical reason. And you have to supply me with a note from your doctor 3 days, within 3 days after the exam. So you've got 3 days from the date of the exam to give me a doctor's note. I mean a doctor's note. It should be written by the doctor, not a nurse, not the receptionist, but it needs to be from the doctor that you saw. It needs to be a written note on the office letterhead, or at the hospital, it needs to be on their letterhead, explaining why you couldn't be in class. Okay? So please make sure you do that. If you do not give me the doctor's note within that time period, then you don't get the makeup exam. Now, I do replace the lowest exam score at the end of the semester with whatever you get on the comprehensive final. Okay, so even if you do miss an exam, which I highly recommend that you do not, but if something comes up like you're sick or something outside of your control and you just cannot make it, it's okay. You're not going to have a 0. You'll get a 0 temporarily, but at the end of the semester, when you take the final exam, I will go ahead and replace whatever you get on the final exam with, I will replace that, your lowest exam score, one of those 4 exam scores, whichever one's the lowest, I will replace that low score with whatever you get on the final. So if you end up with a 0, that will just be counted as your lowest exam score. Okay, so please ask me if you have any questions about that. Okay, now I do allow students to take the exam before the exam day. Now it may be a different exam. Okay, but if you know you're going to be out of town, let's say you're an athlete and you're going to be out of town at an away game, or you're going to be at a tournament, which very seldom happens, but just in case. Also, if you get into a car accident, or if you, well, not a car accident, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. If you have something scheduled, like, okay, family vacation. I highly recommend you don't do this, but let's say you have a family vacation that it was planned, there's no way to get out of it, and you're going to be leaving and you're going to be gone for one of the exams. Well, you can make arrangements with me to take the exam early, and that's fine with me. I don't have any problem with that. Okay, but you have to notify me well in advance, at least a week. Okay, preferably 2. Okay, because if it's something you know is coming up, usually you know well in advance. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, now on the exams, there will be no sharing of calculators. Okay. Okay, so don't even ask me for one. I don't share my calculator. So if you make sure you check your batteries, make sure the batteries are new or they don't go, because I've had students, their batteries die on them during the exam. Okay, so change your batteries. If you have a used calculator, or if you're borrowing a calculator, change the batteries. Okay, if you have a calculator and it's older and you've been using it a while, probably change the batteries. Okay, if it's a new calculator, then chances are you're fine. Okay, the batteries last a long time. No electronic devices out during the exam. Okay, except for your calculator. Okay, delete that. No calculator. We don't need a graphing calculator. So, except your calculator approved for this course, and your cell phone. Okay, cell phones are to be turned off or on silent and put away. No one will be allowed to go to the bathroom during the exam. Okay, cell phones are not to be out. Let me change that. Cell phones are not to be out. Just your calculator. So your cell phones are to be turned off, on silent, or on silent and put away. No one will be allowed to go to the bathroom during the exam. So make sure you use the bathroom before the exam, because I do not allow students to leave the room once the exam has started. Okay. No sharing of calculators. I said that. Okay. So this one here deals with when the exam is graded, I turn it back. So once I turn the exam back, I give you 1 week to bring to my attention any mistakes I've made. So because of course, if I made a mistake in grading or anything like that, please let me know. I want to change those. I want to correct that. Or if you want to challenge my grading, or in other words, if you think I took too many points off, or if you feel like you should have gotten more points for your work, by all means, ask me. Okay, so that's no problem. Okay, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to say no. Okay, and that's okay. And I'll tell you if I say no, that I'll tell you why. Okay, I'll tell you why I graded the way I did. I'll tell you why I took that many points off. I'm not just going to say no. Okay, I'll let you know why. But if you make a reasonable argument, I have changed points before. Okay, but I leave that up to you. But after a week, I don't make any changes, even if it's my fault. I don't make any changes to anybody's score, regardless of the reason. Okay, so that's just my rule. Please make sure you understand that. Okay, so now here are the exam dates. So I put them here. They're also on the schedule, and I'll show you the schedule in a minute. So here's the dates for the exams. Now these dates may change, but unlikely to change. I very seldom change exam dates. But again, if I make a change, I will email you, and then I'll update the syllabus on Moodle. Okay, so always check your student email. Okay, homework. Homework is extremely important for your success in this class or in any class. Okay, so this is suggested homework. So what I mean by this is I'm not going to collect it. I'm not going to grade it. But I highly suggest you do the homework for practice, because I do pick problems for the weekly quizzes from the suggested homework. So it is very, very, very beneficial to you to do the suggested homework problems. Plus, it will help you understand the material. And if you get stuck on the suggested homework, guess what? You can bring those to class and ask me about them, and we can work on them in class. And you will have time in class to work on suggested homework problems. Okay, so that's another advantage of doing the flipped classroom. So you're going to be doing a lot of this stuff in class, and I will be there to help you. Okay, now quizzes. Again, I'm expecting read all this. I'm just highlighting, so make sure you read all this. I give some suggestions here as well. Okay, quizzes. So you can count on at least one quiz a week, probably more. Okay, so but at least one quiz each week, every week. Okay, so now my quizzes. Now you won't have a quiz the first week, but you will have a quiz starting the second week, and you will have a quiz every week, at least one, that will cover the material from the prior week. Meaning that if I covered sections 1.1 and 1.2 the first week, then you can be pretty much guaranteed that I'm going to give you a quiz covering this material the next week. Okay, so always keep in mind, it's always going to be the week prior. Why? It gives you time to digest, study the material, and prepare for a quiz. Okay, so I'm not going to give you a quiz based from the previous day. Okay, unless there's a weekend involved, right? So, but just keep that in mind. The other thing too is I drop the lowest 5 quizzes at the end of the semester. So if you miss a quiz, there's no makeup quizzes. I don't give makeup quizzes. I don't give early quizzes. You have to be in class for the quiz when the quiz is given. If you, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. If you miss the quiz, it's a 0. But remember, I do drop the lowest 5 quizzes, so you can count that 0 as one of your lowest quiz scores. So now the final exam. Now the final exam is comprehensive. Now in this class, I don't know if it'll be a 60-40 split. It probably will be 100% comprehensive. Okay, it just depends on the exams. Okay, so again, based right now, because I'm giving you 4 exams, we'll probably cover all the material so that the exam will be basically 100% comprehensive. Okay, but we'll see. I will give you more information. So it will be either this or fully comprehensive. Okay, so that'll be determined. So right now, it'll be a fully comprehensive exam because we're going to have 4 exams. So, and it'll take us up right to the final. Okay, so if I end up not doing 4 exams, which is a possibility, but we'll see. Okay, likely just stick with 100% comprehensive and you'll be fine. Okay, if I drop an exam or if I change my exams, then it'll be the 60-40. Okay, but again, until I say so, just assume 4 exams. Extra credit, the only extra credit you're going to get are 10 test points, 10 extra credit test points for completing the last 2 pages of the syllabus. That's it. Attendance and tardiness, you get points for every day that you're on time and you stay the entire class period. Okay, so now again, this is how I get your participation in your attendance. Okay, I will also give participation points for doing certain things. Okay, for uploading assignments and project assignments and things like that, or so that's also part of your grade. Okay, but these are going to be specific participation type things, not they're not going to be vague. Okay, so the attendance points are going to be from, hey, did you show up on time and did you stay for the entire class? Okay, now realize that if you just stop coming to class and you're not pursuing completing the class, Aurora University can remove you from the class, can withdraw you from the class. Okay, now if you miss more than 4 classes during the semester, you will be reduced. Your course grade will be reduced by 1 letter grade or 10%. Okay, so if you end up with a 92% in the class and you missed more than 4 classes, then you're going to end up with an 82% in the class. So if you're getting an A, you're going to get a B, and so on and so forth. Okay. Switching classes, after 2 weeks, I do not allow students to switch classes, okay, unless you have a valid reason for having to have your classes switched or changed, okay. And of course, I'm going to require documentation for that. Classroom behavior, I'll let you read that. That's going to be common sense, so read that for yourself. Withdrawals, so the last day to withdraw, not drop, the last day to withdraw from this course is Sunday, November 10th, 2019. So again, just keep track of that. So here's the policies on sexual misconduct. So read that. Very important information here. So all the rest of this is information for you to read on your own. A lot of this is very helpful and good resources for you. So academic support, another great resource. The tutoring center, you can schedule an appointment. So great resource, okay, for writing, math, and science. So you can get peer tutoring, you can get supplemental tutoring. So very, 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 very good resource. I highly recommend it. And the academic support center, okay, so this is also a great resource for learning effective learning strategies, time and task management, effective reading, note taking. So this is, again, if you're having trouble in this class or another class as far as keeping up, and you're just maybe not knowing where to begin or how to study, or maybe nobody ever taught you how to study, go here. Here's the library information. This is also the Scott Library and also Phillips Library at Aurora University. Campus counseling. Again, make sure you read this information. Here's the disability statement, if that applies to you, or if you're curious, or if you suspect that maybe you have a learning disability, this would be somewhere where you can contact to talk about that. Electronic devices, I already mentioned this, but in general, please have the phones off or on vibrate during class. I do not want to have them out because, again, they can become a distraction to me and others. So I'd rather you not have them out. Okay, so that's my policy. So here's emergency procedures if there's an emergency on campus. So please make sure you read this and take note of the information. Code of academic integrity. Please, 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 please read this. Do not skim over this. Make sure you read this because it covers all types of things that fall under academic integrity. Okay, from cheating to felicitating academic dishonesty, which means if you let somebody cheat off of you, you let someone look at your test paper, or you let someone look at your homework, that is actually something that would be a misconduct and a student misconduct, and that would actually go on your record. Okay, so and this is the toughest one because most students don't realize what they're doing. Okay, and it came from the best of places. You're just helping somebody, or you let somebody look at their homework because they didn't understand how to do it. So you say, okay, well here, don't you tell them don't copy, but you can use mine to kind of help you, to guide you. Don't even do that, because if it comes out, you're going to be in trouble and it will go on your record. So again, please make sure you understand this because you are going to be responsible for knowing this. Again, classroom environment and guest policy, please read that. Course incompletes, I'm going to let you read that. And additional information, email. Please email me anytime you have a question. I do respond to email pretty quickly during the week. On the weekends, not so much. Okay, maybe once or twice during the weekend, but don't expect a quick email over the weekend. But Monday through Friday, I usually respond very quickly. Okay, but give me 24 to 48 hours. Okay, 24 hours to respond is what I ask. Okay, and that's pretty much the expectation. Okay, if you ask me a question via email, please make sure that you tell me who you are, what class you're in, okay, and what the question is and what problem you're talking about. Okay, so one thing you can do is take a picture of your work. Okay, so if you ask me a question about a problem or a concept that you're stuck on, then the best thing to do is show me your work. If it's a problem you're stuck on, show me your work. Take a picture of your work, send it to me as an attachment in an email, and then tell me where you're getting stuck. Because if I can see your work, I can help you much, much faster than if you just tell me where you're getting stuck, or you just say, oh, Mr. C, I don't understand this problem. Because if you send me an email like that, I'm going to email back saying, hey, can you send me your work? Or explain what you're getting stuck on, because if you're vague, I can't really help you. Okay, so the more you can give me, the faster and easier it is for me to help you. So always send a picture of your work. So if you got stuck on something, I always expect that you got stuck somewhere along the lines where you were working on it. So you should have some work to show me. If you just say, I don't know how to do the problem, and you don't have any work, well, I'm going to ask you to show me your work. So again, please, please do that. Okay. Let's see here. And again, since this is a flipped classroom, you're going to be able to do a lot of this in class as well. And if you're not, and also going back to email, if you're not the kind of person that likes to ask questions in class, you can always email me and say, hey, I got stuck on this part of the problem, or I got stuck on this suggested homework, or I didn't understand this in the lecture video. Is there any way, or I didn't understand this example. I got stuck at this point. Can you help me? Absolutely. I can go through those in class. In fact, I will probably do those the first thing when I walk into class. So go ahead and email me questions if you're not comfortable asking in class. Okay, here's my tips for success. Suggested reading. Here's my schedule. So here's where we get to the end. So my schedule tells you what day and what we're going to be covering that day. Now this schedule will change. Okay. Now, because again, we may fall behind, we may end up covering, it may take me longer to cover certain material than others, so this will probably change. But what this schedule tells you is what we're going to covering on what day. So for this Thursday, 9/5, September 5th, we are going to be covering these two sections of Chapter 1. And these are the topics we're going to cover. So guess what? You had better have the lecture videos for these two sections completely watched before you walk in the door for class. Okay, because when we walk into class, I'm not going to be lecturing. We're going to be jumping right in, and we're going to be answering questions. We're going to be practicing. We're going to be doing problems. You know, what have you. We're going to be working. Okay, so if you don't want to be confused, or you don't want to feel like you're lost, or you don't want to be, you know, embarrassed, or or feeling like you're wasting time, make sure you keep up with the lecture videos. So do that. But this is the schedule. Also, I put on here the exam dates again. So here are the exam dates. These should match the other exam dates that I have. Okay, if they don't, please let me know. Okay, now on the final exam, I don't have the final exam date here because I'm still figuring that out. But once I do, I'll have the final exam date on here. Okay, but these dates should match the dates here in my class schedule. So I have some redundancy. I have some redundancy in my in my syllabus. I do that on purpose so that way you have multiple places to find the information. I will also have this due dates and stuff on Blackboard, or not Blackboard, Moodle. Okay. Also, notice I do not have the suggested homework on here, but again, use these dates as far as, hey, when you should be working on the suggested homework. Typically after you watch the videos and after we cover it in class. A lot of the suggested homework and stuff we'll be doing in class, so that's where we're going to be doing a lot of this work. Okay, but if you want to do it outside of class, I expect and I suggest, highly suggest and recommend that you do these suggested homeworks outside of class. Okay, quizzes. There again, the quizzes are not in here. So again, assume that there's going to be a quizzes every single day. If you assume that there's a quiz every single day, then you never have to worry about asking Mr. C, are we going to have a quiz today? Okay, and if you ask me, I'm going to respond, you'll see. Maybe. Good probability. So I don't tell students because I want you to prepare. Just assume that there's a quiz and just prepare for it. Okay, remember, you know what it's going to cover. It's going to cover the material from the previous week. So here, for let's say Thursday, if I gave you a quiz on Thursday, the 19th of September, well, that would cover anything from these 2 weeks. Okay, and what I try to do, not always, but what I try to do is the first quiz, let's say Tuesday, if I give a Tuesday quiz, it'll cover this material. Okay, anything from this material. And then if I give a quiz on Thursday, it'll cover topics from this material. Okay, or there may be some overlap again. But again, make sure you're just studying and prepared for any quiz. Okay, so now the last 2 pages. So these are the last 2 pages that I'm going to give you those 10 points of extra credit test points. Okay, so one is the student information sheet. So you're going to get to know me. I'm going to share information about myself. You're going to get to know me as a person and as a teacher. And so I want to get to know you a little bit. Okay, so here's a way that I get to know you. So fill this in as much as you can. Okay, and I will keep this confidential so you can share whatever you want, your heart's desire. However, what's the word? What's the word? I can't think of the word. Not challenging. Brave, I guess. You want to be. But again, everything you share will be held in the strictest confidence. But you can show me something, tell me something unique, interesting, funny, embarrassing, or all of the above, what have you. Okay, so I give you plenty of room to write. Okay, so that's the first page. The second page is the signature page that I do need you to fill out and hand in, and I'm going to need you to return that by this date, whatever date this is. Again, check the syllabus on Moodle because, again, for your class, for your semester, this may be different. Okay. So again, this you're going to want to fill out and complete and hand in as well. So if you hand in both of these sheets, so you get 5 points for each sheet. Okay. So if you hand in both of them before the end of class on that date, then you get the extra credit. If you don't, if you turn it in after that date, I'll still accept it, but you do not get the extra credit. Okay, and I'm a stickler about that. Okay, so please don't test me on that. I've had students test me on that, and they found out that they don't get the extra credit points. Okay, so just be aware of that. Okay, and that's it. So until next time, I will have a video for Moodle. Once I get access to Moodle, I get Moodle set up, I will also upload a video that goes over Moodle. Okay, so until then, you have a great day, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the first day of class and helping you guys through the material and being your teacher. Thank you. Have a great day.